So it's with great honor and humility I accept this nomination.
Do not let them take away your power. Do not let them take away your democracy. Make a plan right now for how you are going to get involved.
Hey, welcome Double Ahdan. It's been a while, and we're gonna do a show or a belated show about political convention, especially the Republican convention, with all this circus with conventions and convention online, and Democrats finished their own conventions, and now it turn of the Republican, and of course the Trump, a man of reality television and showmanship and celebrity, done his convention for the first time at the White House, and that was an odd choice, and people came and no mask and no just marching through the White House, and a lot of flags and a lot of hoopla and a lot of threatening and a lot of fear mongering, and it's all about Trump. So we're gonna talk to somebody who's been watching the political development here in this country. David Schultz is a political science professor at Hamlin University, and he's going to talk to us about what is this conventions means and what do we take away from the two convention, and especially the Republican convention. It's all about Trump. It's all about white privilege. It's all about racism. It's all about demonizing immigrants and blacks and the idea of white supremacy and white privilege. It has been challenged, and a lot of people still out there that want to keep America racist again, and they still supporting this gangsters in the White House. So it's very interesting to see how this is gonna play out, and it's scary. I don't know if Sleepy Joe is gonna pull this off. Well, welcome back, and I know when we have a political blunder and a political circus, would like to come over here and sort things out to us. You seems to have been watching the convention, a Democratic convention, and now Republican just finished a few days ago. And I mean, it's a crazy time for both convention. It was done online without any hoopla, clapping, and all this face-to-face live circus. Now it was muted a little bit, but I mean, I still don't understand how Trump, this gangsters, alleged rapist, inciting violence in the streets for the last, since George Floyd and protest, this insinuating there is a threat from Black Lives Matter, and he fear-mongering and threatening America to maybe give him another 4 years. So you've seen the two conventions, and would like to focus a little bit on the Republican convention. because I don't think Sleepy Joe is going to pull this off. I mean, it seems like his strategy, I'm not Trump, I'm nicer than Trump, and that's not exciting. A lot of people, and I'm afraid we're gonna repeat 2016.
So let me do say a few words about the Democratic convention first. The Democrats had to do several things. They had to weave together their diverse coalition, which includes suburban women, liberals, people of color, young people. They sort of glued it together by what? Not talking about policy, concentrating on hating Donald Trump. And the other thing they needed to do was to convince the American public that Joe Biden wasn't completely out of it. He gave a pretty good speech. He looked like he was lucid. So they did what they had to do. But what the Democrats have to do to win is to expand the electorate and get lots of people to vote. On the other hand, what the Republicans did was to really make it into a cult of personality. It's all about Donald Trump. They didn't even adopt a new platform. Their whole focus is to say that Joe Biden is horrible, that if you have four years of Joe Biden, you'll have more riots, you'll have more Black Lives Matters, you'll have more problems that are occurring under Donald Trump. So what they tried to do then was to really make Joe Biden and the problems that Donald Trump has been facing Joe Biden's problems. Now, for the Republicans to win, they have to hope that the Democrats are not as enthusiastic about Joe Biden as the Republicans are about Trump. And that's true. We know that. The polling is suggesting that. And two, they have to hope that Democrats, because they're not as enthusiastic, stay home, and Republicans are wildly enthusiastic about Donald Trump and they show up. And that's a recipe that is a possible winning formula. Because I agree with you. Right now, I still think that Donald Trump is a better than 50% chance of winning the Electoral College. Probably won't win the popular vote again. But remember, it's the race for the electoral votes. That's all that matters. And fear. And you know this. I think you used to teach marketing. Remember at one point. Fear is a powerful motivator. Now throw fear and throw racism together. That's almost a toxic elixir for motivating people to vote.
For it. How can it be a Democratic problem when in fact it is? The Democrats have been fighting this, I'm not, turning a problem that is happening under his nose, under his own watch, becomes Biden's problem.
Yeah, this is interesting. People used to describe Ronald Reagan as the Teflon president that nothing stuck to. I'm not sure what the metaphor is with Trump, that everything that he is responsible for, he manages to turn around and deflect and throw upon somebody else. And he's been a master, an absolute master of controlling the agenda, controlling the media to manipulate, and really he understands the art of messaging with the social media and the mainstream media. And you're right. This is Trump's America. It is the police under Trump. It's his divisive language, I should say, that he has sown for 4 years that is causing the problems they are. And somehow he's able to get away with saying, look at that, it's Joe Biden who did it. And if he's elected, it's going to get even worse. It's the fact that his base believes what he says no matter what. And again, he's convinced the mainstream media, or at least cajoled and browbeaten the mainstream media into covering his message.
Why would the media give this guy an equal chance and legitimize a racist, a rapist, an insidious gangsters in the White House?
Years ago, the mainstream corporate media loved him because what? He produced incredible revenue for them. The more they talked about Donald Trump, the more people watched, the more money they made. And so what's happened is they created Donald Trump, and now they can't undo him. And I think they don't want to undo him because what? He still generates an incredible amount of money, whether it's Fox, CNN, MSNBC, or whoever it is. Say the words Trump, 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 and the ratings go up, the cash register goes bling at this point. So I think a lot of it is about not just how Trump has mastered the media, but how the media, mainstream media, has learned how to profit off of him. And it's in kind of this almost weird parasitic relationship that they or symbiotic relationship, I'm not sure what they're looking for here, that they work together.
Uh, so what does that tell really about the Americans? So really, it's not about Trump as much as about the American people.
It is about the American people, and his core base of supporters are white, working class, generally male, and without college education. And they have been the people for the last 20 to 30 to 40 years that have been the hardest, among the hardest hit, not the hardest hit, among the hardest hit in the economy. And they've lost those jobs at the steel mills, the auto assembly plants, those manufacturing jobs. And Donald Trump offers them something. What he offers them is when they say, why did I lose my job? Donald Trump says it's because of what? Those dirty, rotten immigrants, those horrible Arabs. It is, fill in the blank, et cetera, et cetera. It is those lazy blacks who are taking your jobs away. Notice I say it's because if they're lazy, they can't be taking the jobs away. But those he's appealing to what? Fear and stereotype. Now, can you think of another political figure in the 20th century that appealed to prejudice and fear and blamed certain groups for problems others were facing?
Well, it seems like the Republican candidates usually resort to this.
Of course it is.
Bush,
They've created it.
father resorts. So this is not new. It's just the degree of it. It is really.
Yeah. Trump has dropped the pretense. He's, before, I used to kid and say, when Republicans said welfare and crime and drugs, those were code words for race. Now Trump is all but to the point of using the N-word, all but to the point of actually just stripping it completely to the bare essence. He's making no pretense at all and trying to pretty it up regarding race, immigration, hate, and bigotry. To me, it's as if, I don't know, he's running as he is the Klan endorsed candidate, for president. And I say that because I think the Klan has endorsed.
And I haven't heard anything substantial from the Democratic Party. So what is the strategy for the Democratic Party to get this gangster out of the White House?
I mean, their message is we're not Trump, which I don't think is enough. And that was the message that Hillary Clinton had 4 years ago. Now, the only difference between Biden and Clinton had huge unfavorables, and the election was really a referendum on her. Right now, people don't dislike Joe Biden that much, but notice the rhetoric by the Republicans shifted, making an election about Biden, shifted away from Donald Trump, and then you run a rerun of 2016. That's what the Republicans are hoping for. What the Democrats need to do at this point is to keep that focus on Trump. Also, I think they need to start talking about what they're going to do. Simply being against gets you so many votes, but it's not going to get them across the finish line. And unfortunately, I think Joe Biden is going to either need a Bill Clinton moment or a moment that Hubert Humphrey never had. And what I mean by that, some people say that Bill Clinton, when he came out, when he criticized Sister Souljah, and basically appealed to race, that turned his campaign around. Flip side, Hubert Humphrey never came out against the war until the very last minute, stuck with Lyndon Johnson, and it's partly why he lost. I'm suspecting at some point Joe Biden is going to have a variation of a Humphrey moment, and he's going to come out and he's going to give a strong law and order speech. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that's the right thing to do, but at some point he's going to come out really hard and condemn the riots. and it's going to have perhaps the same overtone as Bill Clinton's Sister Souljah speech. No, you're right. I think what the Democrats are still thinking is that, and this has been a strategy they've been following, I think, since the 1980s, move further and further to the center, move further and further to the right, try to co-opt some of the Republican strategy and votes, and that's how you win. And the fact of the matter is, either A, the Democrats have not been successful in doing that, or B, guess what? If they do get elected, what do they wind up doing? Nothing any different than Republicans, and nothing gets changed. And that's the point, is that you take a lot of voters who said, I voted for a Democrat and I still lost my job. I voted Democrat, I lost my house, et cetera, et cetera. It's the sense in which, at least right now, the Democrats, at least the mainstream ones, are not offering, I'm going to say, a lot of voters are really alternative to the policies that we've had for the last, 2 generations in America.
Wouldn't that bring the third party scenario? Do we need a third party?
Well, actually, one of my friends said we actually need a second party at this point, because we have the Democrats, well, the Democratic Republican Party on the one side and nobody on the other side. I can't remember who said it once. There was a columnist I read that said once, there's class warfare going on in America, but only one side is fighting. And I thought that was a great line, is that the rich are fighting, the poor are not fighting back. And we actually need some real opposition. We need an alternative voice. I mean, this is in part, what Bernie Sanders was trying to offer. Alexandra, Cortez, is trying to offer that also. We have a few out there. Ilhan Omar is trying to offer that alternative voice, but they're getting squashed by, again, the mainstream media.
I think the Black Lives Matter also, that they have problem with it. We don't know this is a reform movement or a revolutionary movement. Is this a Black life? It's a civil rights issue or it's a human rights issue,
right?
And that need to have a connection between Black Lives Matter and that race should be connected to class, and the poor whites and the poor blacks are in the same boat.
Right.
I don't know why we're not talking about class.
Yeah, class has always been an ugly word in American politics, that we somehow live under this illusion that anybody can still grow up to be a millionaire, that we really don't have a class divide. I once heard an interview with Bill Gates, who said, former head of Microsoft, that said he was part of the middle class. Well, he might have been when he was 18 years old or something like that, but long since then. But no, we don't like to talk about class. And instead, what prevents us from having class consciousness is we fight over race, we fight over religion, over ethnicity. If I can call it, the genius of American politics is breaking up class conflict into racial ethnic conflict instead. And therefore, on one level, Black and white or Hispanics who are at the poorest income level, who probably should share more than it differs them, actually are in huge disagreement politically on a variety of issues. And from my perspective, that makes no sense whatsoever.
Stuff. And what's your plan of leaving this country if Trump wins? Do you have any plan?
Well, if the pandemic ever eases, maybe I can escape and get out of here. Right now, they're not even letting Americans out of here at this point. So I feel I renewed my passport right before the pandemic. So I've got an empty passport with spots ready to mark up at this point.
Well, let's hope we don't resort to this. And this country is a great country, and we need to really work hard to eliminate this ugly America that is now in the White House and leading this country to really a very dark time.
Yes.
That is, aimed at pandemic, it's even worse. So thank you so much, Professor David Schultz, Professor of Political Science at Hamline University. Thank you for giving us time. We're talking to him from his house in St. Paul, and and through Zooming, and I'm sure we'll have this conversation before this is all over. February, November, right?
November, but it could drag out. We don't know. Let's hope not.
Yeah, this guy is really is gonna use all his cards. It's scary stuff.
It
So
is.
it's gonna be Gore and Bush again, but on a steroid.
That's right. That's right. All right. See you later.
Thank you. Thank you.